Hi everyone, Lynn here from Inside Knowledge, and in this video I'm going to talk in a bit more detail about the power of the breath, and in particular the breathing exercises that I complete as part of my morning routine. So as previously stated, I have a mindful movement sequence and I follow that with 3 rounds of 3 different types of breathing exercises, so 3 different controlled breaths. In between, I do some natural breathing. And so the first one is the 3-part breath. Now, the 3-part breath is something we teach in the first course of Embodied Resilience, Breath and Body. Essentially, you start by just breathing into the belly, and then you create a 2-part breath, which is breathing into the belly and then breathing into the chest and the ribs. And then the 3rd part is breathing into the collarbones, which is a little bit of a tricky one. So the 3-part breath, and the reason we've included that in the course is that it does take some practice. But once you've mastered the 3-part breath, then you're really well equipped for any different type of breathing exercise. So one of the great side effects of the 3-part breath is that you get increased lung capacity, which is useful in other areas of your life. The other thing it teaches you is how to be very controlled in your breath. So once you can breathe into your belly, then into your chest, then into your collarbones, and then back down from your collarbones, deflating your chest and then your belly. Once you mastered that, then there's really not too many breathing exercises that you can't do pretty much straight away. So that's the tricky one, and that's the one that probably needs the most practice. So I start with 3 rounds of the 3-part breath, and then I just return to my natural breathing for a couple of breaths. And then the second breathing that I do is known as the triangular breath. But I just recently saw it on Instagram advertised as combat tactical breathing. Wow. So I'm assuming it's used by soldiers to get themselves very calm and steady. And it is very effective to calm people down. What I will say is that I'm not a fan of counted breathing generally. I don't find it relaxes me fully, but I'm still committing to practicing the exercise. So for me, it's inhaling to a count of 5, holding the breath for a count of 5, and breathing out to a count of 5. Now, within the counted breathing sequences, there are different systems. So there's a square breath where you hold the breath on the inhale and you hold your breath out on the exhale. So you can see why that's called a square breath. There's one where you breathe in for a shorter period of time, you hold your breath for a bit longer, and your exhale is very slow and controlled. The reason I don't like the counted breath is I tend to get a little bit uptight, my shoulders get a bit tight, and I actually don't find it that relaxing. But the idea of holding your breath, I think, does make some changes with the balance of oxygen to carbon dioxide, and that can help calm a lot of people. So it does work. You need to explore it for yourself and see if that works for you. And then the final breath exercise, which is my absolute favorite and my go-to when I want to really relax, is just take a deep breath in, let your breath just flow out, just really relax, let it just leave your body, and then hold your breath out for as long as it's comfortable. The idea is not to wait until you're absolutely gasping for a breath. It's not a form of torture. It's just lengthening the natural pause that you have in your exhale. And like I said, that's my go-to. So if I'm really stressed, if say I'm out driving and I get to a red light, I'll do a couple of those. And it's called the centering breath. And I talked about it in my monthly newsletter that recently came out. But I'm an absolute fan. And I think that's the one breath that really shows you just how powerful the breath can be in changing your autonomic nervous system. And the breath is amazing. I've been doing some breath therapy to overcome post-traumatic stress disorder. And so I can be hooked up to a biofeedback machine which could show what part of my autonomic nervous system was activated at that time. And through breath work and through other things that I've been doing, I've been able to bring myself down into a normal kind of baseline. So a nice centered, balanced state of being. So definitely try these out. And if you do have access to breath therapy and you are working through some form of trauma, I can highly recommend it. Thanks for listening. In the next video, I'll talk about my form of meditation practice. I will just briefly introduce that and recommend places where you can get further guidance on developing a meditation practice of your own.